Hello everybody, Xander here, back with another book review. It's been a while, I know. It's been like a couple months late, and technically we're still on June, but I've slightly edited June's reading list to where one book's for July, kind of make up the balance, and we've got two books to finish for June, which thankfully wasn't too bad, even though I've still procrastinated quite a bit in my writing. But we've got Billy Summers by Stephen King finished. That's part 1 of June. This is, I think, from 2021, and this is, another one of his more like thriller type books, kind of like with Holly, and follows Billy Summers, who is a hitman who is mainly hired to kill bad people. That's what he likes to go for. As the back of the book says, the back quote, bad people need to pay a price, and the price should be high. Pretty cool. But like a lot of hitman stories, to spice things up, things kind of go wrong. When the big job finally happens, people see him and he is being set up by the people who hired him. So not only does that happen, but he also meets a young woman named Alice who he's got to help out, and it all becomes one big thing. Just like with Holly, I wanted to get back into Stephen King because I have quite a few of his books. Some that I haven't read, and others that I read years ago, like The Shining and Misery and It. So it was interesting not only getting back to him with his more modern work, but also more of the thriller side of King. And with Holly, I didn't mind it. It had its like quirks, but I think that could be with Stephen King's writing and how he writes non-horror. The same could be said with Billy Summers. I liked it slightly more than Holly in some places, but other times it just kind of felt like eh. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who really like this book, just like a lot of Stephen King's work, and I respect that. It's just, this kind of felt like not entirely what I wanted. I kind of wanted a little more of the hitman stuff, I'm not gonna lie. Even if, it's still the, job went wrong sort of thing, like with, the David Fincher movie, The Killer, with Michael Fassbender, which I did a review of, callback. But this just kind of felt like 500 pages of, okay, there's some good character moments, obviously. I think Billy's interesting enough, and I don't mind some of the other supporting characters. It's just kind of like, this probably would be better as a movie. But even then, I kind of feel like if it's exactly what happened, it's just kind of like, yeah. Yeah, I feel like, unlike some of my book reviews, I'm not going to go into spoilers later, because I feel like I can summarize my thoughts without doing that, even though I just finished the book. I feel like there's some moments where it might be King's writing, I don't know, or maybe it's my own brain, where there were little bits that felt really theatrical or over dramatic. The way it was written in some places, and most of the parts were with Alice, which is a weird thing to say, but that's kind of what I almost felt like for some weird reason. I don't know why. And the weirdest part is, like, she's upset when she's upset over Fane's. I'm like, oh yeah, that is bad. I agree, that's bad and worth being upset over. But there's just kind of that almost theatricality to the way it's written that makes it feel almost funny. I don't know what. I don't know. And like I did bring this up with Holly. I'm not like dunking on Kane for his political views. I don't want to bring politics in too much, but it's like King likes to bring Trump up a lot, and it's kind of like I don't get it, dude. Like, I'm not like entirely disagreeing with whatever he's really believing, what Kane believes, but there's a time and place for stuff, and I don't think you need to bring the guy up in this book as much. With Holly, it made a little more sense in context because it's a book set right after COVID, but also at parts during COVID, and there's just and it just feels more real, and it's got that political integration because of how weaved in that stuff is into that point in time. But with this, it just kind of feels a little unnecessary, even if it is kind of going for that this could be the real world. And again, I say I don't want to bring it up, but I feel like I have to, just to ask why Stephen, do you have to do that? Like, I get it. I don't need to tell you what you can and cannot put in your books, but it's like, again, there's a time and place for stuff. But again, worked better with Holly now that I've thought about it more. Not so much with Billy Summers, and I don't know how many times I'm gonna say this if I keep reading more modern Stephen King. But I also don't want to, be like, oh, I don't want to read this because it's just going to be that. But I don't want to delve too much into it. I feel like I'm making it too big of a problem than it already is. So if that's not really a problem with you, then don't worry about it. It's just slightly weird. It's not infuriating or anything. I'm not saying that. It's just weird. Slightly takes me out of it, but just a little bit. Maybe it's because I'm so used to fantasy books or books that don't dive too deep into the real world, the current real world. So when I'm reading something more contemporary, it jumps at you. Or at me, so that might be a personal thing. Like, other than the little writing quirks with King, he writes fine. I can't say too much about his writing outside of those little things because, like, I'm not like an expert writer, so I can't say, oh, his prose aren't good or anything. I can't say that. But as someone who's reading his words as a reader, I think his writing's fine. And that's kind of all I really have to say about this. I don't want to fully say I'm disappointed, but I kind of am, But again, you guys probably liked this more than I did. I just wanted a little more Hitman stuff. And maybe I was slightly burned out by the amount of pages, the weird quirks, and I'll even say a slightly underwhelming ending, I guess. Especially in terms of, the villain, a very disgusting villain who gets taken out kind of quick, but oh well. So in terms of my rating, I'll give Billy Summers by Stephen King a 7 out of 10, the same rating I gave Holly. Which, again, I feel bad for doing that, but it's just kind of, Maybe either I need to read more horror Stephen King to really feel like I'm getting something real good, because I don't know if contemporary thrillers are actually my thing. It might not just be King in the way he writes. It could be just that, but who knows. Maybe like horror Stephen King, but also a little bit of old Stephen King. We'll kind of play around with that and see how that works out. But yeah, that's my review for Billy Summers. Let me know what you thought about the book. Do you think I'm wrong or right about my analysis of the book and my thoughts? Other than that, if you did like this video, tolerate it a little bit, maybe like it, and even subscribe if you want to see more from this channel. I mostly do book reviews, some movie and TV stuff when I'm not procrastinating a lot. But that's it. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.